Well, boom, right there. Hey, how's it going? As you can see, it's still not, everything's still not set back up, but I do have a very special friend of mine in the background. I don't think you caught that. We'll see what happens. There he is.
Hey.
There's a man with a koala. Oh, already it begins. Skitch Crasher for $2 says, "Hello, Johnny O." Hello, Skitch Crasher. Thank you so much.
That's some epic music, man.
Well, thank you.
That was nice. That intro was nice.
Thank you. We got so many people in the chat already. So good to see all of you. Zebra Bicycle Frauditing Inc. said, "Will any lizards be put in my nose by the sand people during this live stream?" James Blonde says, "Yes." So there we are. Damian Paxton, good to see you. Up and Out, good to see you. Pat Dallinger, Smitty, Juggernaut, Jared Reed, good to see all of you. Brendan Riley, good to see you. Tony Regime says, "Hello, everyone." Tony, I'm looking forward to working with you. We're going to get some stuff together for a project that I can't talk about, but I so want to talk about it. JL knows exactly what I'm talking about. We're so excited to be able to share this as soon as we get the big green check mark. Man. Emily M., good to see you. Teresa Floward, good to see you. Lawless Corner says, "Good day, Johnny O in chat." Hello. Skits Crasher for another $2 says, "Hello, JL."
Hello, Skits Crasher.
Ming Mercy, good to see you. Mrs. Schrodinger's cat, always good to see you. Let's see here. Facty, good to see you. Facty, I wish that worked. That's not, that is a big green check mark, and I appreciate what you're doing here. I really do. Because that puts the good juju out there to get us the big green check mark that we need. Oh, Brainy Viewer says, "I stepped on the scale this week." How's Johnny? I'm doing very well. All right, it is so good to see everybody here. Tony, as long as I can get your raw track, that's all I need. I don't need no emulation, just the dry track. I'll make it sound great. Christopher O'Connor says, "Spill the beans, JL. Johnny O won't mind." Yeah, I wouldn't mind, and neither would JL, but it could cost us that big green check mark.
It could. It's like I said, there's more than us just wanting to, surprise everybody and be like, "Hey, this is what it is." It's more than that. If it was just that, then yeah, we probably would. But there's bigger moving parts than us involved in this, and those moving parts say no. Then we say okay.
Okay. But we're chomping at the bit here, or champing at the bit, as JL likes to say for someone. I'm just messing with you. Just messing with you. Juggernaut Jared Reed says, "As someone that deals with mental illness, I'm going to find this interesting." And this is something I wanted to talk about. Something that, from time to time I think about, not self-harm, but self-harm, if that makes sense. I don't think about harming myself. I think about the implications and the struggles that people deal when we're talking about self-harm. Up and Out says, "I knocked out a great workout today. I'm feeling good." You know what? Me too. I came from the gym where I had a pretty good, solid workout. And yeah, I'm feeling much better. I think I'm starting like month 3 being back in the gym. So it's gonna be good. What's up, Actions Revolt? Good to see you. Sorry, Joe, what did you say?
Oh, endorphins. Those endorphins get going, and
it's the fact that I'm not as fat as I used to be. I'm still fat, but I'm not as fat as I used to be. So, JL, I'm sure you've seen the title of this, self-harm in social media.
I did.
A tough topic. One that I think needs to be spoken about more often than it is. Simply because people often discount, like that whole, you still kind of get that just tough it out mentality, sticks and stones bullshit mentality, and that doesn't work. We need to address the issues here. We need to address how bad behavior can seriously affect other people.
The So obviously with social media in and of itself and the advent of social media and kind of like my viewpoints on social media are like 50-50. So I am big on the marketing aspect of it. As far as like business potential, the social media is fantastic. People who are following you, you can get in touch with them immediately. You can provide updates and you can market new ideas and you can market new products to them. It's great. It's like there's nothing better for promotion than social media. But as far as socializing with individuals, as far as socializing with your peers and people around you, I've always held the viewpoint that it's extremely detrimental, that it is actually harmful to the unique human experience. And the difficulty when it comes down to it, for anybody, and this holds for anyone, social interaction is not. Many people say that it feels easy, but social interaction, interpersonal relationships are hard. They're hard to develop. They take time. They take effort because developing developing interpersonal relationships requires not only self-awareness but awareness of the other person as well. Because you're involved with them. I mean, you're literally that's the way it used to be.
Right. You know, yeah. That's the thing. You know, you and I, we'd sit down at a bar over a beer or whatnot.
Right.
And if you pissed me off, I'd punch you and you punch me, and then we forget where our boundaries were. I'm not saying that's the best way to do it, mind you. But I mean, there was that interaction. There was a consequence for my actions or your actions that was immediate. Now, not so much. Really quick, Keeper for $5 says, I appreciate you guys talking about this subject. Much love. Thank you so much for that $5 super chat. I really do appreciate it. Social media, whereas it has connected us to more people, are we really connecting with these people? I know that's silly question.
It's not a connection, and that's where that's
right, because you can do like drive-by hits on people, and you know what I mean.
When there's legitimate interpersonal relationships that are built up, when individuals meet each other, when they talk to each other, when they build up actual legitimate relationships, their lives are open to you, and your life is open to them, both the good and the bad. It's their life, is what it is. So when bad things happen, you hear about them. When good things happen, you hear about them. You're able to share with one another's experiences in that. But the problem with social media is that you do not get the legitimate connection that you get with another person in an interpersonal relationship. All you hear about, because people don't want to go around on the majority of people, not some people really get off on the negative reinforcement of blathering all of their negativity out there, and then they get the reactions they get, they feel that it's positive when it's actually negative. But the vast majority of people don't want to blather about all their bad stuff. People don't want to get on there and be like, oh, this happened today, and just, and piss and moan, like this, just to everybody. Not everybody wants to do that. The problem is that means the only things that they want to talk about are all the good things that are happening in their lives. This happened to me today. This is great. This is fantastic. I feel this and like this. And it's always positive. The problem is that that's not the way people live their lives. Not everybody's life is 100% positive. But if all you hear from all of your peers and all of the people that you develop is positive stuff, it creates a competitive environment between individuals. And
that's
those individuals
I wanted to really hit on, because you're making a huge point that I wanted to get a little bit deeper into. That most definitely is a huge catalyst to a lot of people and their self-esteem. Like when you see the Facebook stories or the Facebook this, that, and the other, and it's nothing but, oh, I went on this vacation, or we just bought this house, or we just did, look at my perfect this, look at my perfect that. You're looking at somebody's photo book, right?
It's their highlight reel.
Right. It's a highlight reel, right? Nobody puts the photos of, oh, well, I broke my leg today. Well, some people do, but you know what I mean? Like the stuff that happens in between the highlight reels, a lot of people don't really put that out there. So when you look at these things, when you're getting bombarded on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram of all these people with all this, oh, it's so positive for them, and you start thinking about, well, my life kind of sucks because I've got rent that's past due, or I've got this that's not coming out right, or I'm about to get evicted from my house, or I can't, my job is terrible, and here are all these other people that love their job, and all those motherfuckers are liars, by the way. Hey, PSG Tony, good to see you. Kerbertize, good to see you.
Good to see you, Tony. And that's what's problematic in that is essentially because people recognize that on social media you're opened up to such a large audience. There's so many more people that could potentially see your stuff.
Hey, Phil.
That the odds of being judged negatively for what you're putting out there, or like if you put out a picture that is not very good looking, or if you even share something that doesn't really hit the kind of zeitgeist going on in your life, then the potential for harsh reaction and getting the thumbs down or getting dislikes or whatever, or getting insulted or called out or bullied,
right?
All of this stuff pushing people are aware of this. So when you're engaging in a larger audience, you want to give your best because you want to come off as your best. And it's just like in any kind of case, like public speaking. If you're engaging a large crowd, you don't want to get up there and make a fool of yourself. You want to give your best presentation possible. So social media reinforces this, but when you're giving a presentation, you're not interpersonalizing with your group. You're addressing a group, not one individual person. So it takes the aspects of reaching individual people, but forces people to keep that kind of standoffish position where I'm not really engaging with you, but I am. But the problem is that's their profile. So any feedback they get, they take personally because it's coming directly to them.
Right.
So we then we are reinforced to put out a fake image, to put out a veneer of our lives, the highlight reel. Any negative feedback to the highlight reel is then perceived even more strongly because it's the best of you, and the best of you is being attacked. And so then people internalize it much worse than if you were to get up on a stage. Yeah,
absolutely.
If you got up on a stage and you gave a bad presentation, and then you walked off, and then you were done, and you walked off stage, you'd be like, damn, those bad presentation. But all of the people that heard it are not going to be coming to your house and to tell you how terrible it was.
Right, exactly. You'll get some feedback for certain, but it's not going to be, like I saw some things. I saw some things on different social media outlets where there are people who put out content, or they'll put out like pictures of their baby who has Down syndrome. And this is how fucked up social media can be. You'll have people that'll comment things like they make cyanide for a reason. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Who in their right mind thinks, hey, that's a cool thing to say? It's not even funny. It's not even there's nothing remotely funny about that type of stuff. There's nothing remotely funny about people calling for other people to self-harm or to give your child cyanide. Who the fuck think that stuff like that is cool?
It's the heckler mentality when you're in a large group.
Here's the difference. There's a difference between a heckler and
that's where I was going with that. It's the heckler mentality. Exponentially increased. What happens is that if you're sitting in a crowd, like you're in a comedy club, and then you're going off and some comic is up there and he's just terrible, or he's brash, or he's acerbic, and he's just not good, and you heckle him, because he's making everything uncomfortable, and the heckling breaks that kind of like awkwardness. Right. So you heckle in order to kind of break things up and be like, this is not good. Let's make it more interesting. The problem is that when you're heckling a comedian, you're still in a public social environment with other people around you and other judgments all around you, not to mention the comedian, but everybody else in the audience.
Right.
So depending upon what you say, could get a reaction out of the comedian, could get a reaction out of the people that are surrounding you.
Right.
So you're still inclined to not go over a line. So this puts the audience into the audience
potential response that could immediately affect you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So
saying, oh, this comedian sucks, or I think
so. The social media aspect not only is a twofold effect, a twofold negative effect. It puts the presenter into that weird place where they have to present their absolute best, but they are put in a position where any feedback they get is immediately internalized to its worst capability. And then you have the audience, which is put in the position of providing feedback, depending upon how they feel, but no limitations because there's no one around who can immediately rebuke them for what they've said. So social media literally brings out the absolute worst in an audience and has the worst effect on someone trying to present themselves at their best.
Right.
So it's twofold on that. And then if someone comes along, they start putting stuff out there and they start getting lots and lots of positive feedback, and then you compare it to the amount of positive feedback they get in their lives. So it's just like the reason they put achievements in video games.
Right.
Achievements in video games, that ding every time you get an achievement, that's a dopamine hit.
Exactly.
So people begin to associate their positive feedback with their online profile, which is not even really them. Then they feel the need to reinforce being that online profile, which means that they adopt a fake kind of persona, not only online, but also in reality, because that's what gets me the most.
And here's the
then in real life, hang on a second. Then in real life, when they're presenting what they think the world wants to real people, people react negatively to that. And then they get their wire is kind of like, well, I'm only this online, but I can't be this in real life.
Right.
So, and then that screws everything up. And then they're driven further so that they want to be online more and more, because that's where they get their real
social interaction.
Bingo.
Juggernaut Jared Reed says, we wear a mask online. We show people what we think they need to see. For someone with depression, we feel the need to show we are happy when most of the time we are in pain. Yeah, absolutely. So the thing that you're talking about here, this is not a new phenomenon. It's not a phenomenon that's specifically regulated to social media. We used to see this with popular figures, right? Like music, like Marilyn Manson, right? Before he let his public image go to his head, was this down to earth, nerdy kid, had no self-confidence, no self-esteem, and barking dogs in the background.
Was that you or was that me?
That was me.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, it's not something that we haven't seen before. It's not a new phenomenon. We've seen this before. We've seen how that persona, what people think you are, or the thing that you put out there for people to see, can start to creep over into your real personality, your real persona. And that's when, things like antisocial behaviors, and that's when you can kind of really drive wedges between people that you have real life relationships with, be it family, be it children who are screaming in the background, be it
it's a jungle out there.
It's a jungle over here. Be it hi, you go with your. It was just a June bug. Oh, it was a June bug. I got you. Whatever. That's when it starts to put wedges in between them, and it starts pushing people away from you, because they don't want to deal with, that online persona, or the, now the not online, it's your regular everyday average. And then people just like, they find themselves falling deeper and deeper and deeper into a regressive state where they're pushing people away. And, we draw into that level of depression that can ultimately drive people to self-harm.
Yes.
So
I can tell you that the closest I ever came, and this was before I really, hey, Steaming Cup of Reason. This was before I dove hard into my YouTube channel and really putting myself out there. The whole reason I show my face, and the whole reason, and it was the driving determination behind that, what I wanted to present online as Bridge the Divide, Week in Horror, wherever I am, whoever's channel I'm on, this is who I am.
Right.
There is no character. I could act and I could create a character to present to people.
Well, so here,
I could.
Here's the thing. On Week in Horror, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is a bit of a character that you and I both play. Every kind of plays a little bit of a character. And maybe it's a caricature of ourselves.
No, that's me. That's me 100%.
Well, then that's bothersome, because there are things that happen on Week in Horror that obviously, like when you and I get involved in the debates, right? I don't give two shits whether or not you win or lose, whether I win or lose. I don't care.
Oh no!
I play it up.
But that's not me playing it up. I'm a competitive person.
No, I get it,
and I don't hide it. And whenever the script kind of goes aside, I'm kind of like, that's not me faking it. That's legitimate. The whole point was, and the reason I'm getting there, and while there may be some things just like, we did know that, but when it comes down to it, I actively chose to, decided to do this more.
Right.
I'm saying I'm going to be me. I'm not going to be a character. I'm not going to, do certain things or hide certain aspects of myself, because I needed to be as real as possible. I needed to only be. And the reason I did this was because I had an incident before I ever did this when I was on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
When I was working at that previous job, the soulless one, not the good one where I was a maintenance tech, but at the previous one. See, I'm a classically trained actor, and I've spent decades.
The theater.
Yeah, I've spent decades on stage.
Right.
And I've done I have a very, very long.
Really quick, I want to hit on something really quick.
Oh,
I hate to interrupt, but I want to hit on something really quick that I think is important. I've spent many, many years on stage, just as you spent many years on stage. Mm-hmm. And there's this idea that because we get on stage and we have this, like when I played in bands, very big personality on stage. When I get off stage, I'm a polite person. You know what I mean? Hey, excuse me, I need to get by, this, that, and the other. I'll get rough and rowdy if I have to, but I'm a polite person. I want people to go out and have a good time. When I'm on stage, it's like there's a persona that, there's that whole whatever. But people think that just because we get on stage means that we are comfortable in group situations, or we are, okay with performing all the time. That's a job. There's a job aspect. And once we get off of that stage, we're not in the job anymore. Yeah. This is different. It's not as easy for us as it is for, or you know what I mean? It's not like because I get on stage, oh man, I can do this all the time and I can be entertaining all the time and I don't have a problem with whatever, you know what I mean? I guess not. Myself.
No, I mean, I agree with that, and I've experienced it being both on stage and then off stage, and then meeting the people behind the like the audience and everything. I've played bad guys before, both in front of the camera and on stage, and and then spoken with we had like meet and greets and done things after the fact, and people have a different expectation because it's the first experience they have of you,
exactly.
and of course, and then it's weird, but what happened is given my experience and given my background and my training and everything that I've done and my level. And so when I took that job, there was a period of time, coming to about 6.5 years where I wasn't able to do anything creative. Absolutely nothing. Now, being an actor, especially being a professional actor, social media is very important as far as socializing and networking. Sure, it allows you to network without having to go out to mixers and do crap that. So I'm friends with thousands of actors and producers and writers and directors and all number of people. So it got to the point, and I recognized, and I'm lucky, and I feel lucky that I recognize this. Every single day, I was seeing posts about other people, my friends, peers, colleagues, people I've worked with on productions, on stage, on sets, and everyone was posting their big wins. I got cast in this. I did this. I'm directing this. I just sold this script. I just did this, or I got cast in another voice role. I got and I was in every
a highlight reel, like we talked about earlier.
Is a highlight reel.
Yeah.
And even though I'm fully aware that for every one of those I got this, there were 100 no's that preceded that yes, and I'm aware of this. But I began to internalize it because I had nothing to put up myself. And then I started resenting all of my friends for their successes. Because now they get these successes. And I'm like, congratulations, this is great. Yeah, like this. And then it's like, but what about me? I'm not getting anything. And it's because I can't get anything because I'm in a job that doesn't allow me the time to do anything creative, to make the commitment. So I started, but I'm not going to lash out at anybody because I don't want to offend anyone. So I then internalize the angst as well. So I internalize my disappointment. I internalize my angst. I begin to turn it against myself as it's my fault. I chose this job. I chose not to be able to do anything creative. And it just becomes a vicious cycle.
Luckily, it really is. You beat yourself up. I'm in that very same cycle right now. I got
so I recognized it, and it was like one day I remember it was kind of like I was like, okay, hang on a sec. I'm sitting at the computer, and I think it just kind of hit me. I was like, okay, this is not right. This line of thinking is wrong. I need to look into it. So I educated myself a little bit, and I read some material and some articles that were written on the effects of social media and how this plays out psychologically, and the kind of the escalating vicious circle of apparently kind of self-degradation, where you begin to internalize everything as negative about you because you can't compete or compare to everyone around you.
Right.
And so once I became aware of that, I recognized I can't be this fake person online. I have to be me, 100%, warts and all. If I screw up here, then I screw up. If I nail something on the head, I nail it on the head. If I go long periods of time without doing it, and I made the conscious effort to take control of my, but I tell you, for a moment, for a little while there, for a few months, I went dark because
it's easy to do.
I would wake up, like I would got to the point where I would wake up and I would dread looking at my phone because I didn't know what reminders of what a failure I was were going to hit.
Oh yes.
And
so this is before, really, this is like during the MySpace days is how long ago this was, but I experienced something similar. The first like serious band that I was in, we had started to really, catch some steam, and then things happened and parts and pieces went away, and there was an incident at a club, and anyway, the band disbanded, right? And I got left behind. Everybody else went to go do something else. They all want to go do other bands, this, that, and the other. The bass player had opportunities to play with Damage Plan from fucking, with opportunity to play with Vinnie Paul and Dimebag Darrell, and he was like getting offers over here, and the other guitar player had a job, another band over there, and it was just like, and here I am working a fucking job that I fucking hate. And I'd lost my job at Guitar Center at the time, and I was working at, I think, like fucking Toys R Us. Talk about it's just like, oh fucking hell.
I agree. One of the worst was when I had an actual like fellow actor who's a graduate of my school, like the school I went to, a fellow film graduate, walk into the store that I was working at.
Yeah,
that hit me. That hit me way after she left. We saw it. So we caught up for a brief moment. That she went about her business. She left, and that hit me like a truck. And it was awful.
Yeah.
And it's just.
No, I'm right there with you. I know exactly how that feels. And, you start seeing all these people, and then, like MySpace became a thing, and all of a sudden here, boom, here, boom, here, boom. Like, fucking hell. Everybody else is doing things, and here I am working this fucking job I hate. I bash my head against it, and all I'll do is put my head down and work. It got so bad that I turned everything off, and I almost just like fucking up and left. Just got in the truck and took off. And then, but I found something that kind of grounded me back. And then I started thinking about why am I competing with these people? Why am I doing this? Why do I feel the need to compete with them? If they did something great, fucking let them have their moment. That's awesome for them. Why is that a negative reflection of me? And it's because of this social media shit. This weird thing that starts happening where people only want to tell you the good shit. And I'm with you. I decided that when I decided to do YouTube, you guys are getting me. Like, I'll share that I fucked up on this, or Trans Girl says, just a question whenever you see fit to answer, or don't if you can't answer. Any news on the New Jersey Film Festival? I'm just so curious. Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, I was selected as a semifinalist, and that's it. I didn't win the Hollywood International Gilded Age Film Festival Award for Best Short Documentary, but I was still selected as a semifinalist. I didn't make it into Dallas Independent Film Festival. I've got a whole mess. I got a bunch coming up. So there's the list of festivals that we entered has grown quite a lot, actually. I think it was 4. Now it's something like 10 or 15. So yeah, hopefully, and I'm going to share if we get something cool happens. Of course I'll share it with you, but I'm also going to share the fact that we didn't get selected here. We didn't get selected there. That's kind of a choice you make because it keeps you grounded, right? It keeps you from, thinking that we're all hot shit because I did this and I did that. No, we've made some fucking made mistakes. And also it reminds you that not everything has to be number one. Not everything has to be the wins. You can celebrate your wins, but learn from losses and mistakes and whatnot. I think it's important. It's important for other people to see that we're human beings too. I'm not, I have no like delusion that I'm some super famous person that people are looking up to. I don't give, you know what I mean? I hope to like not put that out there. I want to be just, hey, I'm Johnny. That's it. I'm Johnny.
Right.
You guys want to hang out together. Let's shoot the shit. That's where we're at. Let's see here. Juggernaut Jerry says, I'm retired indie wrestler, and after I retired, I went into an extreme dark place. I would get posts online saying I'm a failure, and they are glad I retired because I was terrible. Yeah, shit like that bothers me. You know, and people say when people say shit to me, I don't give a fuck. Like, not when people call me names. I don't care about that. It bothers me when I see people going out of their way to kick somebody else.
Right.
Like, come on, man. Hi, gorgeous.
It's curly.
Well, you're naturally curly haired person.
It's like my curls are coming back.
Yeah, they are. There's some purple hair there. More purple, yeah, lots of curls.
I love the humid weather.
Hey, Ellie Dermot, it's good to see you. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's important that. Yeah, Jason Hyatt says, celebrate your growth, not just your wins. Absolutely, and it's important to remember that, you know, not everything is going to be fucking peaches and cream. No, you know, fucking fairies and rainbows all the time.
That was the key thing, that social media, but I think social media is not real life, and that's an important thing to remember. But I think that individuals from our generation, because I grew up obviously we both grew up pre-internet. Like, there was a time in the world where there was no internet, where
social media was us going down to Timmy's house, knocking on his door, talking to his mommy, asking if he can come out and play.
The best message. I mean, the message boards were the one that were either at the school or at church or at, you know, or somewhere, you know, it's some regular meeting place. There's like where people
texting.
Stuff
we actually had to write on a little sheet of paper. We had to write something on a little sheet of paper and then pass that between 15 people sometime to get it to the person we wanted, and hope the teacher didn't intercept that shit. That was texting.
That was texting.
Email. No such thing as email. We had to fucking write a letter out, put that shit in an envelope, put a stamp on it, put it in the mailbox, and 14 days later, if you're lucky, you got a response.
Calculating postage.
Yeah.
And it was, and that's why I think it's slightly easier for us. And that also really, really concerns me. It's a concern about the current generation, not just the generation Y. I think it's like Z, Y, but, you know, this new generation that's, you know, coming up, you know, people born in 2022, living on, that this is the only world that they know. They will never know an analog world. And this is the developing relationships, interpersonal relationships. This is how it's done. And it's fraught with its own problems, like as we've previously discussed. And it requires a new approach in order to countermand all the other stuff. But the problem is, it's the internet. It's not real. So if everything is not real and it's just the internet, then what are the ramifications? And the law can't keep up with it like it can with people dealing with each other in person. That's why there's laws about getting into fights. That's why there's laws about, you know, what you can say to what effect in certain situations. That's why when it's us, we got it. But when it comes to the internet, the law is sadly very, very slow as to what can and cannot be said. And, you know, the ramifications for driving someone to, you know, maliciously driving someone to action, because what can you do? They weren't there in person. All the other person has to do is turn off their computer.
You know, and you hear that a lot, right? That I think that's such a, and I'm not saying that this is you. I'm not saying you are suggesting this, but that's such a lazy way to think about this problem.
Well, right. Well, I mean, you think about it. What's our generation reacting to what the next generation, the generation after that, we look at that and we say, to us, we can say, well, just turn your damn phone off, or just don't look at it, or just close the app. Right. We recognize that it scrolls by. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, but that's us, because we've lived in a time when it wasn't like this. This is something new, and we see it for what it is. And then we can be like, nah. For us, for the boomers, as much as I'm choosing not, for the boomer generation, it was like, I don't want to read the paper today because I don't want to hear whatever bad news is out there. I'll wait till someone tells me, hey, did you see this in the paper? And then go see the paper. Otherwise, I don't have to. But it's different now. And so it behooves people, or I would say it would behoove parents to really, really educate their children, to educate their families, to educate even teachers educating students on what is real and what is not.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that. it's the way that we've gone, right? This is the way of the world now.
Right.
Social media is here. It's not going anywhere. Hell, fucking the evil Elon Musk is trying. I say evil because he literally has a plan to nuke Mars to turn it habitable, to create an atmosphere. That's his plan, not mine. But
okay, hang on a second. I got to address something. Ugly German Truth just said. But JL, aren't you just saying, hey, woman, if you do not want to be molested, leave the party early?
That's where I'm getting to, right? I'm getting to this point. The problem is social media is the way of the world right now. It's the way of the world, right? Until the next thing comes on. I don't know what the next thing is going to be, but something will replace social media. Telepathic interaction, who knows?
Something similar to like the Oasis in Ready Player One or something.
Sure, exactly. Right. Yeah, something similar to that shit. So the problem that I'm having is that when we say, well, this is not real life, you know what? To these kids, it is. Right. Instead of saying, hey, this isn't real life, how about we start saying, look, I understand that this is affecting you in ways that I don't like. It concerns me how this is affecting you. Let's talk about why this affects you negatively. Let's talk about where this is coming from, what's manifesting inside of you when something like this happens. You know what I mean?
And to address what to go after what Ugly German Shoes was saying, the problem is that because this was not ingrained in me from the beginning, because I did not grow up with this. This is something new that our culture and our society has developed, and I can see it from outside of it. I wasn't immersed in it when I was born. It's not the world I was born into. I can look at things very pragmatically, and as a pragmatist, because I am a pragmatist, when it comes down to it, for me personally, it's about efficiency, and it's about accomplishing a goal. And if you're wanting to do something, the easiest and most efficient way to do that is the best way to do that, because that's the world that I was born in. That's the generation I was born into.
Exactly.
Was we need to be able to be efficient. We need to be able to be effective. So how do we accomplish? We need to be able to accomplish tasks. So we are goal oriented. This is what I want to do. I don't want to spend all day doing it because I have many things I have to do. So I need to do it the most effectively so I get the best results, and I need to do it efficiently so I can accomplish more, so I can get more tasks done. I was born and raised in the generation where you wake up on a Saturday and there is the list of things that need to be done. And if you want to have your Sunday free, then you need to get them done. Mm-hmm. So we called it chores. That's what I was raised up in. And so now I can look at, we do. Yeah. But we do. But when I was a kid, it was ingrained in me that, this is the work ethic. And so being pragmatic with your work ethic, what I can do, what I can accomplish, when I can accomplish it, making a plan and being decisive. This is the mentality that I was raised with. This is the mentality that I was ingrained with, just because that's the mentality that the generation called for.
Right.
Today's generation, it does not call for that. Pragmatism really doesn't come along because pragmatism doesn't really often take other people's feelings into account. It deals with your situation and not their situation.
Right.
But that's the drawback of being a pragmatist, is that it's what works best for me instead of what works best for everyone. So when I look at a situation where we be like, well, if you want to get out of it, then leave, find a way out. This is what I was taught. This is what I was ingrained with. And You know what? I applied them in my own life and they worked literally almost every single time. If you look at your situation, know your options. I need to leave a party because it's getting a little too bad. I can call my parents, I can call my friends, I can call somebody, or I can just walk out, or I know where I am. It's being informed. When you have more information, you can make better decisions. You can make them more quickly and you can make them more effectively. You can keep yourself safe and keep yourself out of trouble. So, but the problem is people aren't taught to think like that anime. And that's fine. The generation has changed, but people, these things aren't reinforced.
Hang on a second. I disagree that people aren't being taught how to think. People aren't being taught these types of lessons. It's just because it's not taught. They're not learning it the way you learned it doesn't mean they're not learning it. It's a little bit different, right? And that's kind of the thing we're talking about, right? The way that we learned it worked for us in the environment in which we grew up in. right?
That's true, but the environment hasn't changed.
Well, hang on, but it has.
No. The environment has changed. The things in the environment have changed.
The playing field has changed, and we have to acknowledge that. And not failing to acknowledge that the rules are changing, then we start becoming the thing that we made fun of when we were young. And that's old people.
No, but I understand that. But the difference is that this is not.
Well, hang on a second. I want to address what Ugly German Truth says, because that's kind of where I'm going with this. He says a lot of people took to social media and online life like fish to waters. They finally had an easy way to find others that can understand them. Tell them just to shut their phone is closing. And I think he meant an outlet. And I agree with this, right? So there are a lot of. I don't want to sit there and completely bash on social media, because it has offered people whom may not have been able to make those connections in person, who may need that barrier in order to kind of open up, facilitate building some kind of, even if it's a quasi-personal or personable interactions with other people. So I can understand where this is coming from, and telling those people who have done this, that's the environment in which they grew up in. Because of, like I said, I mean, people born after 2010, social media has been in their entire life. I mean, especially as they get older. And to sit there and say, well, all I got to do is just turn it off. But, I've got friends that I talk to on there, people I talk to every single day, or people that I, interact with, or this group of this game that I'm in, or this.
Cool. Then control your interactions. You only want to hear from friends. You can set it up like that.
Well, no, okay, I understand what you're saying, but there's always going to be a way for people to, to like, usurp that. They're going to find a way. People are going to find a way if they want to be really dickheads to you. And when we sit there and say, hey, look, the onus is on you to stop bad behavior from other people, aren't we stepping into a little bit of victim blaming here? Because the people who are being affected by this, they're not the ones that are creating the bad behavior. They're just trying to go about whatever it is, showing their baby on whatever, talking about trans rights, or talking about, whatever. And there's other people that want to attack them for it, But when we say, well, just control this, control that, but that's saying that look, woman, if you didn't want to get raped, you shouldn't have wore that shirt. You shouldn't have wore those clothes. You shouldn't have been in that area. If you don't want to get robbed, don't go to this place. That puts the onus on the people who aren't doing the bad things.
This is why originally, this is why at the beginning of it, I said it's all about teaching the next generation how to deal with these things, because people today are developing their interpersonal skills. This is why I said at the very, very beginning, I am 50-50 on social media. I absolutely recognize its utility as far as work goes, as far as like marketing, promotion. I totally get it. And I use it myself every day. But when it comes to interpersonal relationships, human psychology does not, just because the landscape has changed doesn't mean the map has changed. Human psychology is not
exactly what that means. When you talk about landscape changing, we're talking about the map changing.
No, that's the problem. The things on the map, the landscape, the topography, but the map in and of itself, human psychology, and there's human psychology, and then there's things that you psychologically have to deal with. Okay, the things that you deal with that are being presented on the map, those have changed, but the map in and of itself, human psychology and how it works, does not change. And so what is being presented now to the youth of today, or to the generations today, is an extraordinarily unhealthy way to form interpersonal relationships and relate to one another on a personal level because of social media. So we are now saying human psychology needs to adapt to something new that we've created, and then we lash out at the fact that human psychology doesn't adapt that way. But that's not the way it works.
This is not something that is like, this is not the first time we've had to adapt psychologically to technology.
No. Adapting culturally is different from adapting psychologically. You cannot You cannot just change the way your brain internalizes information.
Hang on a second. We want to sit there and act like social media Yes, whereas it's newer and a faster way of altering how people interact. Really quick, Thor Rasmussen for 50 Dicks says, just got my Hydro payback. Here's half of it. Finger guns. Thank you so much, Thor. I hope you got your shirt. My goodness. And then Judy LaPointe for $10 says, howdy. Hey, Judy LaPointe, good to see you. Also, Connie Johnson has been a member of the Plot Hole crew for 7 months. Says, hi, Johnny and JL. And Trans Girl, who's been a member for 5 months, says, whoop, 3 months. I think you mean 5 months. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But what I'm trying to say is we want to act like, like there weren't things that there weren't different means of interaction. Used to, we had to walk to go speak to somebody.
Right.
Then the telephone happened. Well, that changed how we interacted. That changed how people built relationships. Now we're able to keep relationships with somebody, used to in colonial days. If you and I were neighbors and then I had to up and move to fucking, Gold Rush, California, that was it. We were done. Maybe I'd send you a letter if you knew, or maybe you could send me a letter if you knew where to send that letter. But who knows if it's going to get there? Who knows if the Pony Express is going to take it all the way out there, or the post service or whatever?
Right.
No idea. Well, now we got telephone. Alexander Graham Bell come along and say, hey, look, you put this thing up to your ear here and you speak this little thing over here, and this guy way on the other side of the fucking world can hear you. Holy shit. Now that's different. So we had to make those changes back then. And now we're talking about another type of change when it comes to social media. So yes, the topography has changed, but that also means the map has changed as well. And we have to acknowledge that just because we don't necessarily agree with or like doesn't mean it's not changing. Doesn't mean we shouldn't rethink how we deal with certain situations, which ultimately leads to, and again, this is that issue where we're talking about where the onus of the problem is. Yeah, there are things that we can do to limit, like, they're just being smart about.
I think that there's it's problematic what's going on. So if you look at when the internet first became a thing, okay, right. The internet itself first became a thing. It was like 1970. It was like 1974, late 70s is when the internet was there. It was suddenly became a thing, but not everybody could use it. Then in the 90s became a thing. I remember American Online, exactly. Online chat rooms. You think about the amount of time it took for the internet to be invented and where we are today, and social media where we are today, right now. So it's 2022, 1970. What's that, 50 years? Coming up on 50 years. Right. 50 years of internet has gone from and only high-end commercial use, and then in some ways military as well, all the way to the world's knowledge in my pocket. Right. So it took 50 years to go from to the world's knowledge in my pocket.
Yeah, no.
When were phones invented?
Oh, geez, I don't remember.
Okay,
just
and
because
how
they
long?
faster.
No. That's the point. No, that's the point. This is why it's important.
Really quick, some old dude who's been a plot hole headbanger for 6 months says, "Whoop whoop, milestone chat. Don't forget smoke signals." That's true. We had smoke signals.
So in 1876, the invention of the phone, 1876. Yep. And then when cell phones came out, which essentially were just phones without cables. Okay, but when did the first cell phone come out? Took almost 100 years for the first cell phone to come out. Otherwise, in between those 2 points, the only thing that changed about phones were the physical look of the phone itself. Otherwise, telephone communication didn't change. How long were radios going around, and radio signals, and like that, and radio really hasn't changed. It hasn't really changed at all. It's still one place putting out a signal. You pick it up. That's it. Radio technology really hasn't evolved that much. We've gotten stronger signals that can be heard further, but otherwise it's pretty much the same thing. Okay. And you still get the news, you still get advertisements, still get music, it pretty much, whatever. And then of course, telephones really haven't changed either. The look of it has, the internet is different. And yes, we did have to adapt to this new aspect to our culture, to our reality, bringing in the ability. Now people are not so out of touch as they used to be. They can remain in contact with people even if they're far away without having to send letters and do all that stuff, which is fantastic. It increased communication, which is great because that helps people to do things more efficiently. The problem is that it really hasn't altered and it really hasn't evolved. It's pretty much remained the same. The same cannot be said of the internet. How we get the internet really hasn't changed. It's just gotten faster.
Mhm.
We can get the internet faster, but what the internet does has evolved so rapidly and so quickly that we have not been able, as humans, have not been able to adapt to it as readily and as quickly. So the laws have caught up with phones, and the laws caught up with radio pretty damn fast. The laws caught up with phones pretty damn fast.
Right.
The law cannot keep up with the internet because the internet evolves at a pace so the speed of human thought.
Completely understand.
Our basic psychology cannot handle this.
Okay, but that doesn't mean we don't acknowledge the fact that the game has changed, that the topography and the map is altered. It's different for you and I.
No, because we're still using the same old tools to deal with a situation that is unprecedented.
And that's my point. That's my point. Instead of trying to fight something with tools that aren't working, obviously it doesn't work. Instead of why don't we think about maybe we should try a different tool? Some old dude for $5 says world knowledge in your pocket, but hopelessly intermixed with world idiocy and world bigotry and world propaganda. That's true. There's a lot. You get all the knowledge in. The problem with that is, for every fact, there are about 100 not facts, we'll call them. Thank you for that $5 super chat, by the way.
And there's no oversight. There's no oversight to look at what is being put out there. I mean, 60, 70 years ago, if I wanted to learn about Socratic dialogues, I had to go to university. I had to go to college.
Right.
If I wanted to learn about these things, if I wanted to read Plato's The Republic, or if I wanted to dive into, the history of whatever, of sociology, psychology, psychiatry, and all that. But nowadays, I've got it all right here. I can pull it up in a heartbeat.
Sure.
I can pull up a PDF copy of anything that I need. So yes.
Well, I understand, and absolutely, yeah. I mean, the speed in which that's my point, right? Is that
essentially the internet has become a nuclear weapon in the hands of monkeys. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so what do we deal with it? So that's my reaction. So this goes to my reaction to this. When you are in a situation where you are completely and totally overwhelmed, when there was way too much going on, there's too much input, you don't know what to do, what is the best and most efficient and most efficient and most I guess the other word like that. What is the best solution here? Turn it off.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
It's about compartmentalizing, and tackling one thing at a time.
Hang on a second. You make it sound and seem as if it's just that easy. All you gotta do
is that easy.
Okay, cool.
People don't want to think it's that easy.
Stop. The person who's addicted to heroin, all he has to do is stop using heroin.
That's a false equivalency.
No, it is not.
Yes, it is. No, it's not. Because heroin does not have the same effect on the brain that social media does. No, it doesn't.
Yes,
no, it doesn't.
We were talking about dopamine hits. Yes.
It does. Heroin does a lot more than that.
Absolutely, heroin does a lot more.
Okay, it literally chemically changes the brain.
We're talking about artificial dopamine hits. We're talking
about more than, no. There is a physiological response to the brain in regards to heroin.
All right, cool.
Okay?
So all you got to do is stop, though, right? You just
no, that is not it. It is a false equivalency.
Not a false equivalency. We're talking about
equating internet addiction, social media addiction with heroin. No, sir. Because
fine. Let's walk it back. We'll walk it back. Gambling, perfect example. You want to talk about something that is equally. You try to call false equivalence on this one here, but you can't. This is the gambler, guy who can't stop gambling. All you gotta do is stop. Just stop going to the casino. It's that simple. No, it's not that simple. It's not just all you gotta do is stop. Yeah, that on paper, you're right. That's all I gotta do. But it's how. How am I gonna stop?
Can the gambler close all the casinos?
No. Can the individual close all the social medias? No.
In their home, yes.
Okay, the gambler can
when I walk out of my house, if I leave my phone,
the gambler can close all of his avenues.
Hang on a sec. If I leave my phone at home, I don't have ready access to the internet. The only thing I have ready access to is the radio. If I leave my phone at home and if I leave my phone at home and I'm just going about my business, I don't have immediate ready access to the internet. All I have access to is the money in my pocket and the radio that I hear, and that's it.
Yeah.
Where else am I going to access from unless I get on a computer? If I'm going about my normal day,
I go to the store.
No.
The point is, we sit there and say, we want to sit there and talk about how it's a dopamine hit, right? That's addictive. There's an addiction thing there. We want to talk about good, bad, or right, wrong, whatever. When we sit there and say, well, all you got to do is stop this bad thing that keeps happening to you, just stop it. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. You can't just say, just don't do it anymore.
Dopamine hits do not alter neurological pathways like some hard drugs do. Yes,
that's why I changed. That's why I changed the analogy to a gambler.
And gambling doesn't either. Okay.
You're missing the point. I think you're missing.
Okay. No. It is. I'm saying it is not equate. It is not equivalent. It is in and of itself.
Same.
No, because it does not.
The high from the dopamine hit. That's the exact same thing. Why do gamblers gamble? Do you think it's because they want to win money?
No, it's because they're chasing the win.
They're chasing that high they get from the win. The same thing that we talked about earlier when talking about social media with the thumbs up and the positivity comments and this. It's the same thing. We're still talking about how these have very addictive qualities. These have very addictive properties. People can readily get addicted to the positive interactions they get with social media and equally take the negative interactions they get really to heart. And to sit there and say, well, all you have to do is stop. You're right. That's it. But how? That's the thing that your solution is missing, is just to sit there and say, well, just turn it off. Okay. But what's stopping me from turning it back on? What's stopping me?
You recognize that there's an issue. No, you recognize there's an issue.
Okay.
Why do you think beforehand I mentioned Why do you think beforehand I mentioned parents need to educate their children and know how to evaluate their emotions, how to compartmentalize them, and how to communicate their emotions? Kids, the generation today is not being taught how to do this. And the reason it's different is because the reason it's so important for parents today to be able to teach their children these things is how did we learn them when we were growing up? It wasn't all our parents. It was social interaction. It was us being outside, interacting with our peers, at school every day, on the weekends, riding bikes, going out and doing things. This is how we developed. Now, all of those social interactions that we in our youth, we took for granted, were helping to socialize us in the world. Those don't exist anymore. Now socialization is taking completely new form, resulting in an extreme negative response or negative feedback loop when it comes, because the human psychology is not built this way. And it's come too fast. It's come too fast and too extreme, and it's evolved too rapidly for us to adapt to it, which means it behooves the generation that didn't grow up with this to recognize what it's doing and educate our children on how to evaluate their feelings, recognize what is real and what is not, how to compartmentalize certain things, and how to communicate effectively. Because remember, if all you've got is social media 24/7, social media doesn't teach you how to communicate effectively. It teaches you how to be fake.
Whereas there are a lot of things you said I agree with. I do agree with a lot of things you're saying. We have to remember that when you were a kid, well, maybe not you, because you're a little different, but when general people are kids and they see that first scary movie, what was the first scary movie you saw, or first movie that really scared the shit out of you, like really scared you?
Really scared the shit out of me?
Yeah.
Probably Ghostbusters. I saw it in theaters. I saw it in theaters when in 1982.
Yeah.
So it was The Librarian.
Yeah.
The Librarian was terrifying.
Yeah, it was terrifying. I saw that when I was 4 years old. My parents thought, "How this would be a great movie," because and looking back, like really, it's not that. It's a fun movie, but when could anybody tell you that? Oh no, that's fake. Yeah, sure, they could tell you it's fake. But that didn't stop you from thinking, holy shit, there's a fucking librarian in my closet right now about to jump out at me, and because I said
Poltergeist had the same effect on me as well.
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? So it's that, that we can sit there and say all day long, being the well-learned fuckers that we are, that, oh no, it's just fake. No, to these people, social media is real. You know what I mean? That's how their interactions are going. Hell, schools nowadays are using Google and Moodle and classrooms and all this shit to.
Then maybe it's me. I see the point you're getting at. Maybe it's me, because that is what my parents did.
Yeah. So
my mother and my father sat me down and helped me to learn these things and explain them in ways that my mother and father knew me well enough, and they knew me, how I learned, my personality, and they knew me well enough that they knew how to communicate with me. And then they taught me the differences between these things and how to recognize what I'm looking at. So that's why I always come back to the parents. I always come back to the parents, because teachers are not parents. The internet is not parents. Nobody is parents but parents. And so that's why the responsibility is on them. And because I didn't have a problem with this. And it's not because I'm just like, I'm amazing and I just don't have these problems. No, I'm exposed to the same shit that everybody else is exposed to. The difference was I had parents who were actively they're actively involved in what I was exposed to and how to deal with what I was exposed to. They didn't shelter me. I was not sheltered by any stretch of the imagination. I was sat down in front of people today and be like, why are you showing your kid these things? Because they need to know about it, because they need to be able to understand these things.
Come slap
right. Otherwise, reality is going to come and be like, guess what, man?
Yeah. I have very similar conversations with my children. But the point we have to remember, did you always listen to your parents? Fuck no.
No, well, I mean, I listened to them, but then I actively chose to disregard the
other. Okay, so that's the point I'm trying to make.
And then realized, oh wow, I should have listened to them.
Yeah, but this is after the fact, after you made your fuck ups. And Mrs. Schrodinger's cat brings up a really good point. So the problem is that these kids these days know more about social media than us parents about. So yeah, it's true. I mean, the technology, the kids are growing up with the technology, and it's really our generation that most of us can do the social media and stay up with the technology. Or even some of the people that were in our generation, they're like, oh, I'm getting kind of lost in all this shit. Nowadays, these kids, like my son was building computers when he was fucking 5 years old. Like, good Lord, dude, slow the fuck down.
To explain to Juggernaut Jerry said, but a parent can't be there. But a parent can't be there 24/7 and to make sure kids can learn and understand. And you're right. He's right. I don't know if it's a he. I apologize. Didn't mean to misgender if I did. But Juggernaut is correct on this, that you can't be there 24/7. But my parents weren't there 24/7. I remember when it was when my mind was blown by the concept when it was introduced to me that I actually spend more time at school than I spend with my parents. And I was like, oh, wow, you're right. When you never really do that calculation and how much time you're actually spending at school and away from home, that you spend more time there than you do in your own house. And I was like, wow, that's crazy, especially given I was in football and wrestling, all the extracurriculars and stuff. I lived at school. And I lived at school and I slept at my house just to go back to school.
Right.
So that's the way it was. But my parents weren't around me 24/7. And as a matter of fact, my father was working most of the time. And so my interactions were predominantly with my mother, unless my father was there and was there to discipline me. Mm-hmm. So, but still, even in that scant amount of time, they were able to succeed in doing this because of one very important fact. I was not afraid to talk to my parents.
And that's the key.
I could readily go to my mother and father with any problem that I ever had and be able to talk to them about it, because it was ingrained in me from the youngest age that I could come to them with anything and I would never be made to feel stupid. I would never be made to feel that I was immediately wrong and why didn't you figure this out on your own? I could bring any problem to them regardless of size and lay it before them, and then we would tackle it together.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, right? And ultimately, you'll never get me arguing against you. And just staying silent brings up the same thing. The parents' job is to make a safe home where the kid is comfortable discussing anything, so you can help them put experiences in perspective, whether it occurred online or in person. And that is 100% correct. But with the way that the current economy, the current when I grew up, mom stayed home, dad went to work, right? That's not the case anymore, unfortunately, be it because of divorce or because the fact shit's expensive nowadays. It takes two people working in a house, or one person with a really good job making buku's bucks. But it's not as easy as it. Well, I say easy, but so talking about the rules have changed. They have changed. And yeah, PhD Tony says we have rules about what can be broadcast and accessed in traditional media. If anything, social media is more pervasive and needs tighter regulation. I mean, this is true. There are things that I can't just get up on the New York Times and write an article about how JL is a unicorn humping tree hugger.
Who told you?
Well, you did, but but you know what I mean.
Like, to answer Chris Durham's, has JL ever been afraid to talk to anyone? There was a time when I would be to certain individuals based upon what I knew about them or because they were intimidating, it would make me nervous. So I've been nervous, plenty nervous to talk to people, but I've always been kind of a social person, and I will talk to anybody. And sometimes I'm just nervous about doing it. I got over I got over being nervous and addressing groups with my theater career. I got over like talking to anybody, like any human being, when I had one experience and I learned one thing. The experience was when I gave my first interview of a celebrity. When I sat down with a celebrity, someone that I greatly respected. It was Carrie Elways, by the way. And I sat down to interview him, and it was just, this is just a person. Yeah. They're just people. They're just people like me. So Then all of a sudden the celebrity mentality just vanished. Now to me, there are no celebrities. These are just human beings. And I learned very quickly that what you see on that screen, what you see on your phone, what you see and all like that, that's not real. Right. None of that is real. It's all 100% fake. There may be snippets of who they are in there, but it's all fake. So I learned that very quickly in my journalism, in my time as a journalist doing entertainment journalism and being an actor. I know and I can recognize what is fake, and I know I can recognize very easily what is real. And so when I learned those two things, I'm not afraid to talk to anybody because they're just people. Right. Whoever it is, they're just another human being. Flesh and blood composed the same shit that I'm and they're heading to the exact same location that I am after so many years. So no, I'm not worried about it. I'll talk to the Queen of England, Israelis. I'll talk to Gaddafi's. I talk to Johnny O's. I talk to anybody. I don't care who they are.
You will not talk to Gaddafi like you talk.
I would talk to Gaddafi in a heartbeat.
I said like you talk to me.
Sure, I would. Well, I mean, in a professional setting, if I was interviewing him, if we were just like hanging out in a bar, I'd be like,
Gaddafi.
So, there's some things we might need to. So it's like, what about all those? What about all those mass killings, man?
What are you doing? What do you think about that? I don't know. Really quick, Joshua Lee for $10 says, in my experience, addiction is complex. Some fail to see negative aspects of living with side addiction, while others fear what their life would be like without it. There has to be a desire to change. Absolutely, totally agree that we got to start with a desire to make the change, but it's not as simple as saying all we have to do is change it. That's great. That's a wish list. That's not a plan. That's not something that's not realistic.
I don't think so. I think it's a first step.
No, the first step is acknowledging that change needs to happen, right? That's the first step.
Well, but you can acknowledge it. You can ignore that all day long. Taking the first step is the first, like making the change. That's the first step.
Right, but you can I don't want to.
How many people have been like, yeah, I have a real problem. I don't care. And they keep doing what they're doing.
Sure. But you still have to acknowledge that a problem exists before you can do anything about that.
Yeah, it's good luck talking to Gaddafi though, Ouija board. I know he's dead. So.
Tony fired him, man.
You're correct, PhD Tony. I'm not afraid to be wrong in a public forum. I'm not, which is why I'm usually not.
In a public forum?
No, I'm actually wrong a lot. I just don't give a shit because being wrong is not a weakness. Being wrong is an opportunity to learn. Yes. Being wrong is an opportunity to have PhD Tony yell at you that you can fucking do something.
That's right.
And that's important. It's important to have these things.
It's important to have PhD Tony in your life.
It's important to have people. It's important to surround yourself with people who will not only teach you new things, but also keep you in check. And PhD Tony is the exact kind of person who'll do that. He'll hold me accountable. He'll teach me new things. And he'll do it in a way that is be like, you're so dumb for not knowing this. And it'd be like, you might be wrong. It'd be like, it's a two-way street. And no, ugly German truth. He's saying nobody should trust a word I say because I'm always pretending. No, I'm not. That's why I chose to be the real me.
Real JL. Joshua Leaf, another $5 says, in addition, while I could discuss a lot of things with my parents, I felt like I failed them when I gave in to my addiction. And that's another thing, right? That's another thing. All right. So ultimately, thank you for that super chat, by the way. Or both those super chats really do appreciate that. Dev Null, you bring up an excellent point. Loving ourselves is a tall order. We are our own worst critics. And see, PhD Tony is just as harsh. He's just as giving as he is harsh. But back to what Joshua Lee was talking about, the beating ourselves up whenever we make those failures, even having the discussions. And I guess that's what I'm trying to bring up. I'm trying to bring up the fact that we as creators on social media, we use these tools, right? We are actively involved in social media, and it's important. There's a reason why I called out bad behavior when I saw it with the whole Dr. Dave Irish Demon thing. I called that bad behavior out because it is bad behavior that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't be doing these things. We are supposed to be the ones that are above that type of action. So when I get on social media and I see things like people talking about the trans handyman who is she's a trans woman who uses her platform to help other people learn how to fix shit around the house, right? Usually has an amazing upbeat attitude, but then she'll share these things like people are telling her, drink cyanide or just really negative stuff that I guarantee the majority of those people wouldn't have the stones say that to a person's face. Wouldn't have the stones. And I tell my kids all the time, whenever they mouth something or they like mumble under their breath, I look, if you're going to be big enough to say some shit to me, be big enough to say it to my face and accept the fact that you may not like the consequences of your actions. Otherwise, keep your mouth shut. If you are not willing to accept the ass whipping, I'm not saying I whip my kids' ass, I just mean in general, but if you're not willing to accept the ass whipping that could come from your negative bullshit, then you might want to keep that to yourself. And I think that's where we've got to be. That's where we have to be as creators. That's where we have to be as community members. I'm not talking about social media community. I just mean community in general as human beings. When we see that bad behavior, we need to call it out. But, hey, you shouldn't be doing this shit.
Right.
There's another guy on TikTok. He's a gym rat. He calls himself a gym rat. And he calls out bad behavior. He'll get tagged in whatever gym videos where people are bitching about other people doing silly things or making fun of people who are going to the gym, talking about, hey, look, this is bullshit. We don't need to be doing this. This is a gym culture that is toxic and we need to stop it. We need to start building people up instead of tearing them down. And that's where we need to be. We need to call out these people who are this bad behavior. Call those assholes out and let them know this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable for Arwen earlier today to ask someone or to direct someone to off themselves. That's bad behavior. I don't give a fuck about the flat earth, globe earth discussion. I don't care that he's a flat earth. I don't give two shits. Be flat earth or fine. That's fine. Be over there. Hi,
hey, Jesse.
I don't care about that, right? You want to be believing flat earth, you be an idiot over there and flat earth. Fine, it's fine. Do your thing. Don't be an asshole. I would if JL were to get on his channel and talk, hey, Matt Powell should go, this, that, and the other, like JL, no, we don't do that shit. That's not us. That's bad behavior. We don't. I'm not saying you would.
No. I'm trying to imagine. I can't even fathom doing that. Like,
right.
That's some of the difficulty. Is the kind of the disconnect on my end is trying to put myself in the shoes of someone who would do that is disheartening because I understand why they do it, and I understand what they're trying to accomplish when they do it. The problem is that getting from point A to point B from someone who didn't need to do that to someone who does need to do that is very sad. And it's a very disheartening journey to get to be someone, someone whose life is a perpetual Monday. and this is how they take it out on everybody else. And it's painful and it makes me sad. And it's like, you hope that there's something you can do, but like we understand, they have to want to help themselves. But if they get that negative, reinforcement.
So part of that calling out bad behavior is not meant to say, hey, you're a bad person for doing this. Like, hey, we shouldn't be engaged in this. This is not something we should be doing. You know what I mean? It's not about slapping the hand, or it's about, hey, I see what you're doing, and I'm letting you know that what you're doing is not healthy. It's not only is it not healthy for the person you're directing it at, but it's not healthy for you.
Right.
Because when you fucking swim with the sharks, you're gonna get bit or some bullshit like that. Some old dude that's not even a thing. I just made it up, and it was so terrible when it came out of my mouth. So bad. Some old dude for $20 says, loving myself, but I am the only person who knows how truly depraved I am. No, this old bastard needs to keep a close eye on. Life will bring what needs when he needs it. What he needs is how to tell you that it's going on. That's the thing. Being able to think about $20 super chat, by the way. Oh, and then Brainy Beaver, really quick, said for 2 Canadians, says news now. Beeve domestic issues in the plot home. Uh-oh. No domestic issues here. My kids will tell you that they get beat all the time, and they don't. They get beat only on Wednesdays. So kidding. I'm kidding. These kids.
Let the beatings begin.
Let the beatings. Yeah, with Bill Cosby.
My wife and whack them, and I kick them back into play.
Back into play. Yeah. Thank you for the super chats, by the way. But no, ultimately, providing a positive influence, providing that thing that you gotta. Hey guys, oh man, it's just that stuff just irks me, man. Like I said, it not people will say, well, I don't get it. You want to come after me and say stupid shit. I know, like me and JL are cut from the same mold. We know how to ignore the dumb shit. Just whatever say, you know what I mean?
I think maybe it's just because we're old enough and we know.
I've heard it my entire life.
I've also heard it my entire life, and I've literally at the point it's like I don't care. It's just, I think I'm crossing that line. I'm in that valley where on the other side you just can't give a shit. Right. You can't. I'm still in that kind of like, it depends upon what we're talking about, where I say, I kind of care about that, but I'm getting to the point where it's like I'm also getting to the point where I'm confident in knowing what I don't know, and knowing where I need to improve, and knowing what I know is correct.
Right.
And that's also, it just comes along, confidence, self-esteem, and having these things. I can thank my parents for that. So
part of that comes from the fear to be wrong.
Yes. Ooh, God, that's a killer. It's this mentality that being wrong is a weakness.
Right.
That being wrong is somehow a failure of you as a human being in like the social environment. If nobody was ever wrong, nobody would ever learn anything.
Exactly.
Nobody would ever improve. And it's just like it irks me to that point, because another thing that I was taught by my parents and by some very, very, very patient teachers, it is all right to be wrong, because when you're wrong, it's an opportunity to get better.
We had very different educations then, because being right was always enforced. It was about being the top. The whole valedictorian thing, right? We're awarding the guy who gets the best answers, or the girl who gets the best answers, or whatever, and then and I understand you got to grade a paper to correctness, right? But for me, I struggled immensely with math growing up. Not so much anymore, because I've
like the analytics 44 inches, 46 inches, 48 inches.
Exactly right. Yeah. we're talking about a waist size, right?
I was expecting it more like I wanted to really.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, it was very much my issue with math is that there was always a correct answer. With English, I was always really good at that, because as long as I could aptly express myself, I was right. But in math, 1 + 1 is 2. And if you don't get to 2, there's no, at least you could express yourself. No, it was, you got the answer wrong. Period.
Yeah.
And that's tough.
There was no recognition for work done. There was recognition for completing it successfully. Just because, if you only got halfway through it, that's a fail.
Right.
It's not. It was like the objective was to get from point A to point B. If you only got halfway, it's like, well, then you fail. That's it.
Right.
Next time, get to B.
The whole
next time, finish it. Learn.
Yeah, Mr. Schrodinger's cat, you definitely reach out to me, and we can handle that situation. Most definitely. Teacher, you need to learn math because you won't have a calculator with you all the time. Little did she know.
Jokes on her.
Jokes on her.
Jokes on her. I had a Casio calculator watch. I actually had one of those.
I did too. I had little buttons, and mine had like a stopwatch on it, so I had like pause, play, fast forward, and whatnot. And one day in history class, it's a true story. We're in history class watching something. I can't remember, some educational video about whatever, and the thing kept stopping. It was old VHS tape, but it kept stopping. And this girl next to me got in her head that I was using my fucking calculator, my Casio calculator watch to control the fucking VCS. Yeah, right. I'm over there like, no, it doesn't work that way. But some old dude for $5 says, fortunately, I am never wrong. Once I thought I made a mistake, but then I found out I was correct after all. Thank you for that $5 super chat. But
Thank you for that, Aaron. Appreciate that.
What happened?
This is what Aaron Reed said.
Right here.
Do your due diligence, take the risk. I stood paralyzed by fear for 38 years until I finally decided to take the dive. I'm now on 2 live streams, one of which is with the jerks.
That's true.
This is true. It's true. Yeah.
Jim Gills for 5 Canadian says the beatings will end when morale improves. Here's the thing. There's a difference between beating and discipline. Thank you for the $5. 5 Canadian. I haven't had Canadian money in a long time. But there is a difference between beating and discipline, right? I have no problem with disciplining a child. I do have like beating a child. Like, come on now. But I understand what you're saying. We seem to have lost our way at least a little bit when it comes to the ability to provide that moral compass. And it's
hard. I remember James Cameron's True Lies, when Tom Arnold was like, "You're not her parents, man. Her parents are Madonna and Axl Rose. You're outgunned, Daddy-O."
Yep.
Yeah, that's the effect of it. And I hate Tom Arnold. The quote there, but the quote there is correct in that it's our parents raising their kids these days? Are they making that concerted effort to be a part of their lives and to teach them?
It's not, again, that's another one of those things. It's not as just simple as it seems. You know what I mean? Because I work a job that's an hour and a half. It takes me an hour and a half to get to and an hour and a half to get home from this job. It's 3 hours away that you know what I mean? And if I leave work at 5:30, I'm not getting home till close to 7. Dinner has already happened. Bedtime routines have already started. And I might get there for 20, 30 minutes. In the morning, I'm usually out of the house before they're up for school. So I don't get that because I got to be at work on time. It's not as easy as, there are ways that we have made adjustments to make it a little easier. And then there are certain things that could happen for our household that'll make where I don't have to drive an hour and a half to work every day, but
I will say this. Before I go and get more batteries because my vape just died. I also need to put out there and recognize, because I know someone's going to bring it up at some point. It's very easy for me I recognize how easy it is for me to make these determinations because I don't have kids.
Right.
And there's obviously a world of difference between not being a parent and being a parent. It's a complete world. You change the moment I understand this. I recognize it. My point is I actively chose not to be a parent. And even to this day, I still kind of sometimes get the kind of urge to be like, man, what would it be like to have a little me running around, a little me, like me and Angela.
And then you remember what you're like.
And then I remember, I recognize my own problems. And even today, I recognize that there's a lot of my father in here. And while I'm never going to say that my dad shouldn't have been a father, my dad did the best he could with what he had. And I don't blame him for anything. I'm just not saying, I don't want you to go too far into that. My dad did the best he could with what he had. His toolbox was limited. He had limited tools to work with.
If not for your father and
Yeah.
your mother and your mother
and my mother,
we wouldn't be having this conversation right
exactly.
now.
We wouldn't be.
We wouldn't be in a situation that could potentially put to better my life and my family's lives. So think about that. I'm not trying to convince you to have children. You do what you do.
No, I mean, I was like, that was the whole point. I recognize these things. I also recognize I recognize the challenges that come along with it, the choices that have to be made, the sacrifices that have to be made.
Well,
the difficulties in this, and then of course the uncertainty. And then I actively said, I don't want that. That is too much.
Right. But see, what I'm trying to impress upon you is that whereas your experiences with your father, they're maybe laced or peppered or painted with a lot of negativity, I'm trying to show the positivity that has come out of that. You know what I mean? Like, my life is better having known you than it would if I didn't. So there's some positivity. I'm not saying this, whatever. I'm being honest, like seriously. My relationship with J.L. Warren and the Weekend Horror and whatnot has opened up some opportunities for me that I don't know if this would have opened up otherwise. So whereas you may, and of course you're 100% valid in the way that you remember and recall your past and how you were raised and your upbringing and your relationship with your parents. I'm here to tell you that there's some positivity that's come out of that negative shit.
It took a long time to make it positive. It took a lot of work and a lot of effort in order to separate the wheat from the chaff in that and kind of like come out on the other side. And then just recognizing that as and recognizing the relationship between my father and I, what my father tried to impart, what my mother imparted to me, and everything that I know and how I've, the decades I've spent bettering myself and learning from that and understanding my own personal issues, but also recognizing that it's unique. And, before I die, I can simply say this. I made my choice when my, don't get me started on that statement. No, we don't. No, it's not for a reason. No, there's no reason behind it. Things happen that we make the most of the situations that occur at random. So my mother was faced with the situation, and I both love and hate telling the story because I'm trying not to tell it in a way that like bloats me up and makes me look bigger than I am. But when my mom had me and my brother, and we were growing up, doing the whole thing. My mother is an incredibly intelligent woman. Is next level smart. My dad is above average, but he was pretty much guy was a diesel mechanic for 30 years. So what do you want? So, but my mother,
nothing wrong with that.
Just I'm just saying, my dad had a limited toolbox. We'll just say that. So
I think your dad had a big toolbox if he's a diesel.
He probably had a lot. Yes, he had lots of tools. Yes, but and 9 of the same wrench. So just saying,
you never know when you're going to need.
Never know when you need it.
Yeah.
So my mother is off the charts smart. So one of the risks, my mother was faced one point, and it wasn't until I was in my 20s when my mother and I were having a conversation, and kind of when you could have grown-up conversations with your parents.
Right. And
my mother told me that the hardest part of being a parent, like her worst moment as a parent, was when she had to reconcile that she was not able to give my brother and I what we needed as far as an education goes, to make use of every single advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So when she did not plan for or recognize the possibility that she may have kids that require a higher placement and a more specific, more elevated level of education, that the public school system was not really going to service that, because it's not built for that. That learning when you have a third grade, I was in the second grade. When you have a second grader who learns with the sixth graders, and does the same work to the same capability and understands the same things. When you have this, and I'm not trying to blow myself up like this, but my mother was faced with that. My kids, both my brother and I, needed more when it came to this, but more means more expensive.
Yep.
My mother could not provide this. My mother and father could not provide this for me and my brother. And when she looks back and said her worst moment as a parent is when she had to, essentially, she looked at me and looked at my brother and said, I couldn't give them what they needed to have every single opportunity that they needed to be successful. Because you can't plan for that thing. You can't.
Yeah, it's tough.
And I thought to myself, holy crap, to be a parent and look at your child and recognize that your child needs something to have every advantage and you can't give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's simply beyond your reach. And it's like, and you know that no matter how much you love them, they're not going to get what they need to get every advantage because that's your kid.
Yeah.
And I looked at myself. I looked deep with it. Looked at myself and was like, one, I never want to be in that position. Two, I need to really, really think about bringing someone into this world when there are so many people out there who already are born and don't have every opportunity. Don't add to the collective problem, solve the collective problem. And I was like, wow, in a world of people who don't have every opportunity and could have, in a world where I do not want to look my child in the face and be like, I didn't expect you to be, to be this, and I can't provide this for you. I never want to do that or put them in that situation where they have to look at me and it's like, I needed this to have every opportunity. Why couldn't I get this? And I'm kind of like,
so hang on a second. Aaron Reese brings up a great point. He says, my parents couldn't give me the education I needed, but years later I realized that the shit I went through to prosper was a better education than any degree. So there is something to be said about that. And as a parent, I can say that, yes, I know what it's like to have, to be put in that dilemma, right?
I can't even fathom it. I mean, I can only imagine. I can only try to conjure it in my mind. I have no idea the actual experience. I just know I saw the look on my mother's face and said, I never want to feel like that. It's like, that looks awful. And
here's the thing. I'm not I'm not saying that I'm not saying that you're afraid. Okay. You made an informed decision about having children, which is, that's what everybody should do. Everybody should make an informed decision instead of doing what I did and just, shoot your shot and see what happens.
I'm not a fan of the spray and pray method. I'm more of a fan of sit, take your time, line up your shot, adjust for wind, and if it never comes, you abort.
Well,
that was a bad choice of words. I did not mean that. I was talking about the mission.
Poor choice of words.
Anyway, poor choice of words. And Rachel goes right out the window.
I was going to say now, you derailed that conversation.
Wow, this is not what I meant.
I'm okay, Thor. I'm gonna get knee deep in Teespring and figure out what the fuck is going on, because it shouldn't take a year to get you a goddamn t-shirt.
It really shouldn't. It's obnoxious as shit.
Yes.
I mean, you know what I'm going to do? That's a perfect moment. I'm going to let you take, and I'm going to go replace my vape batteries because they're dead, and I will be right back.
That's terrible. Terrible. Yeah. Hey, NA, good to see you. So many people have dropped in. Thor is using NA. Who else? Charlie Welch, check Discord. Charlie Welch, check Discord, please. Pretty please. You're gonna enjoy it. Mr. Schrodinger's cat, you're an awesome person. T-Bone says narcissists shouldn't procreate. Well, it happens. That's true. Is Teespring at war with Denmark or something? I think so. I've been trying to get Thor this t-shirt for almost a year. It's been sent. It was sent, I think, twice. And the first one they sent it back saying, well, you didn't put the province on there. So I said, hey, Thor, what province? He's like, well, we don't use provinces, but go ahead and put this on there. So I put that on there. And it's been sent again. I don't know what the fuck this thing is. I don't know if he's going to get the shirt. I don't know what to do. I want him to have the shirt. My goodness. I mean, I could have fucking taken the shirt and flown it to him and back by now. It probably would have. It's so silly. So silly. Hello, Christo. Good to see you. Good to see you. Some other folks dropped in. Who else? Ugly German Truth. I've said hi to you, but just in case, hello. I know I missed some other folks. Jesse, we saw you. R.F. Richardson Jr., thank you for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. Yes, T Slug. Absolutely. My goodness. So I guess at the end of the day, what I would like to see from humanity, but everybody who's listening to the sound of my voice right now, go out there and inject and infect positivity. Call it that bad behavior. Find those people that, I don't know if it's, I don't know. I don't want to sound like, oh, look what I'm doing and this, that, and the other. But, I don't generally like to get onto social media. I don't generally like to get on things like TikTok and Twitter and whatnot. But when I do, I try and find something. There you go. Something that I can, I can positively comment on. Whatever it is. Like there's, I started connecting with some people who are in a weight loss journey like I am. And their situation is a little more dire than mine. And to see them work, I'm like, yeah, fucking hell. Yes, that's awesome. Keep up the good work. You can do it. It's just saying something positive to people, giving them something.
Sorry. Dude, I do. Hey, I've had my own struggles. I've been on my own journey. You should have seen me when I was a lot younger. When I was in 5th grade, I was tipping the scales almost 300 pounds, and I was only 5'5". So I know what it's like to be enormous.
Yeah, you're still only 5'5", but
no, I'm not.
I'm sorry, 5'6.5".
Bring it up a little bit, son.
5'6 3/4". My bad. It's a tax thing. Sent a cup all the way to fucking Denmark and sent it all the way back and didn't tell him to pay a 50% tax. Are you fucking kidding me?
Brainy's here. Brainy, yep. Brainy, did you receive what I sent you? I never did find out if he got the gift I sent him.
Oh, did you send him the stuff from the place that is like him?
Yeah. I sent him that in the mail, and I didn't tell him what it was. I just had a gift I wanted to send him. Brainy, did you receive the package? Because I sent it, and I never did get confirmation if he got it or not. So,
yes, Chris, I do. I do consider YouTube social media. Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yep. But yeah, man, just like I said, I try and get on something. It doesn't matter what it is. If I see somebody doing something cool, fucking, hey, that's pretty cool. Something just positive, because you never know. You never know when somebody's having a shit day and they pull up the phone, they can read a comment that makes them smile or that makes them feel better about themselves. Spoiler alert. It's an empty box.
It's a sack full of
greasy.
No, that's what we sent to Glenn Serio. No, actually, we didn't. We couldn't find anything appropriate to send him.
Jumpsuit, but it was big enough. That's terrible. Here I am talking about be positive. Here's the thing. This is why
the circus tent company was closed that day.
This is the reason why. I don't have a problem poking fun at Glenn Serio.
He chose to wear those pants.
Well, no, because he has the nerve to call people fat.
Oh,
yeah. You might not want to be don't be that one. So today was a dark day for me. I have borderline personality disorder. On my bad days, I disassociate. I also cut. It's hard to find positivity when one lives in self. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And all I can say is that I hope that things get better for you. I hope that you can find at least a glimmer of hope, or some sort of positive influence, something out there, someone to say something kind, someone to offer you a word, a gesture, something. I truly do, because I would, as much as I call out bad behavior, I would much rather, or I enjoy even more to infect positivity into people's lives. At the end of the day, I want people to be better. I want people to do better. Disagreeing, that's fine. We can have disagreements. We can have arguments. We can have, whatever. But at the end of the day, I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody. No, I really don't. I really don't want bad things to happen to people. I really don't.
I don't either. And I mean, I think the part of the work that I do is not just about entertaining, educating, and like bringing things up. The thing. Oh, thank you very much, Polyamorous One. I appreciate that.
Yeah. That really does mean a lot.
It means the world to me. The biggest thing that I focus on is I don't want people to be afraid.
Right.
Okay. Fear is useful. Fear has utility, but fear should be a driving influence, not something that keeps you from doing something. Unless obviously, like fear, like driving 120 miles per hour with your headlights off. That's obviously be afraid of that. But I'm talking about social interaction. I'm talking about asking questions. I'm talking about seeking knowledge. I don't want people to be afraid to change their paradigm. I don't want people to be afraid of new information. I don't want people to be afraid of new lines of thought and reasoning. People are so terrified to have their box changed in some way because they've got it so comfortable that it's hard for people to get anywhere and to have conversation. In most conversations, we wind up talking past each other. That's what I hope to do in my channel because it's communication. And yeah, I know as tired as the cliche is, communication is the key. The ability for us to speak to one another coherently, cogently, and honestly without fear of judgment. That I can put my feelings out there. I can put my position out there. And while people may not disagree with it or they may see something differently, I'm not going to be judged for being me. That's the point. And hopefully in doing this, providing a support system because so many people out there, this gets me every day. Mm-hmm. So many people out there don't have support systems.
Right.
And it's majority of the time, it is of no fault of their own. It is literally circumstance. These are just the circumstances. These are just the hand that you get dealt.
Yeah, sometimes the cards that you look at aren't the greatest.
Right. And it's not like this in the game of life. It's not like you can just fold. So when it comes down to it, sometimes you recognize I get shitty hands, other people get shitty hands.
Right.
And while we're learning to read the table and read everything going on and how to play a hand and how to deal with it, it's important to recognize that we're not alone at the table and that we can be support systems for one another to help each other improve, that we can bridge the divides between ourselves, the societal divides, with reason, rationality, and education, learning how to communicate, learning how to exchange ideas, realizing that a difference of opinion is not a judgment on someone. They just came to a different conclusion as you. The question is, can you communicate enough to reconcile your different conclusions?
So reading
this is Jail's Get Off My Lawn talk show. I prefer Get Off My Plane. That's what I like.
So Zebra, okay, so there are two things. Raven, if there's anything we can do to help in that, let me know. I'd be more than happy to, help find a medical professional, mental health professional, something. And I don't mean that to be whatever. I really genuinely want to see people understand the things that go through their minds. I'm not as level-headed as I come across, and I'm not the one you want to. I'm not the Dr. Phil, as Splatix Max has said.
No, if it were the Dr. Phil show, yeah, I would be talking like this and saying we need to be able to come together in order to communicate effectively.
Right. And then, oh man, somebody said something.
And there would be something to be a bit about the lie detector test revealed that you are lying.
There was something else there, but I guess I lost it. Anyway, why aren't you kids in school? Says some old dude. Yeah, here's the thing. Do better, be better. Just be good. good to each other. Okay. And if you fuck up, hey, I fucked up. I can appreciate that. We all make mistakes.
Except for PhD Tony. He's perfect in everything he does.
Exactly. Ming Mercy says, please, everyone remember it's okay to ask for help. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is 100% okay to ask for help. And Splaticus, I appreciate the humor. I really do. I appreciate the humor. Absolutely. It's, you know, gotta have some fun. Serious as this topic is, it's okay to have fun. It's okay to crack jokes and whatnot, but
ugly German truths.
That's just
that
so
sounds like something he came up with when he was hanging out with Voltaire.
Jeez. Oh man. Oh boy. Yes, accents. You can joke, make jokes. It's fine. As long as we're not, you know, Papa Tomato, Baby Tomato, ketchup. Not those kind of jokes. So bad.
More like I prefer like, why does a seagull fly over the sea? Because if it flew over the bay, it would be a bagel.
Jail's fired. All right, it's that time. It's time to get out of here. Oh, wait a minute. I need to see because I told you guys. I told you guys that I would. Well, hang on a second.
No, the whole point is you keep trying is to attempt a thing. The objective should be attempt something, and then fail at failing.
Yeah, right. I gotta listen to something really quick. Keep them entertained for half a second, JL, or maybe 44 seconds.
Now, I will say this because I know I'm going to be doing a live stream as well. I got a bunch of stuff coming up this Sunday. You should see it on my channel if you're subscribed to my channel. I've got the Discord stage coming up on Sunday, and then of course my next video coming out as well about this Christian dude who thinks that without a God you can have no meaning in your life, which is just sad. They said boo jail, but I was going to address this probably on my own live stream, but this could save me the opportunity. Because I recently went on the whole like the Dr. Dave. I went on Dr. Dave's channel and tried to basically talk with Saul or whatever about the whole like doxing thing and all that crap. And pretty much I myself am done with that as well. It's the situation is too toxic. And doesn't do me any good. And I said my piece. It was done. Dave got mad. He tried to stir up drama, started calling me names, started insulting me. And then when I was like, none of that matters, we need to keep on point. I was like, I don't care about all that extraneous stuff. I want to talk about this. And he's like, well, if you don't care, get off. And I was like, okay. I said my piece regarding the whole situation, and I'm pretty much done with it. I don't follow his channel. I don't follow his content. I personally don't really care about the first like frauditors like this because it's self-defeating. Just like flat Earth is self-defeating and the reason it's self-defeating is because it deals with things that are real and they're basically like not understanding reality. If you don't believe that gravity is a thing and you keep jumping off of things, eventually the problem will solve itself. As gruesome as that sounds, it's self-defeating.
Please.
Ignoring reality
yeah.
defeats itself. If you keep pushing against the laws, thinking that the laws are wrong, well, that's legit. You'll wind up in jail. That's the way that goes. Things that deny reality denialism is just self-defeating, and eventually these problems will solve. Like taking the warning labels off of everything, these problems will solve themselves in time. So there's never throughout human history, there's never not been a group of people that has lamented about what the interpretations of like the law or justice or truth or whatever is, and it should be their way, not because they think they know best. And instead of doing the work and trying to change the system by like everybody else did, they would just want to rail against it and make spectacles of themselves. Well, eventually they go away. Okay. The system changes by those who are willing to work within it and willing to do the work in order to change it. That's how the system changes. And that's how we get bad things out and we keep good things in and we keep trying to adapt and adjust. This is the system that we have. So these problems will solve themselves. I find them, to be honest, I find them trite. And it's kind of like they get boring quickly because it's the same crap. It's just people, this is not reality. I reject your reality and substitute my own. Go live your life, dude, because eventually life will correct you. That's why I focus on what I focus on, and because I focus on the heart of the thing, the center of the thing that drives people to do a lot of this stuff. And I go to the heart of the matter. That's the difference in mind. So what Dr. Dave does, what those people do over on that channel, I honestly don't care. They can keep doing what they do. And if Dave continues to behave the way he behaves, if these things keep going on, he'll eventually solve his own problem. It'll solve itself because he'll eventually cancel himself just as he's done in the past because he doesn't learn from his mistakes like Tony and like Iron Man does. And eventually he'll just cancel himself. And that's cool. He can go cancel himself. I'm not concerned about it. I don't need to drag my channel and my audience through that nonsense when it's not even what I'm focused on.
Well,
y'all deserve better. I deserve better. And my energy is better spent.
Okay.
It was something that I was going to, you gave me a moment, so I was going to address it on my live stream when I go live next, but I was kind of like, I'll just go and address it here. I don't even need to waste my time. I'll just eat up your time to solve my problem, then I can do more effective things on my channel and talk about things like what's going on in Texas right now with, going down in Laredo and, these are more important things.
Two cannibals are eating a clown. One turns to the other and says, does this taste funny to you? All right,
two muffins are in an oven. One says, man, it's hot in here. The other one says, holy shit, a talking muffin.
Yeah.
Two peanuts were walking down an alley. One was assaulted.
Anyway, some old dude for $2 says, this is why evil loses. Thank you so much for that $2 super chat. Now, last Tuesday, I teased that I would release one of the projects that I've been working on tonight. I just got confirmation that I am allowed to do so. So this is where we're going to end the stream. I'm going to show you one of the projects that I was in and had worked on. Yeah, I know. Do your worst. If you want to lament and how terrible I am, that's fine. But here we go. 5 minutes of your time.
Oh, before you do it, Zebra, and you're right. Vegas Valley is a real POS, and that problem will solve. Just like my father taught me, you ain't the biggest, baddest in the world. You keep walking around with that chip on your shoulder, someone is eventually going to knock
that shit off.
And you're going to run into somebody who does not care. If he wants to be that way and present that, knock yourself out. If he wants to do it safe on the internet, or if he wants to do that in real life, that problem will solve itself eventually as well.
Ugly German Truth is already a mini plot hole number 4.
And it's good to know, Facty, because this is my day job. Joke's on you.
So here we go. This is for everybody here. Let's enjoy. If it wants to work.
Hey, I just bought you a bunch of toys. Now stop playing with the Fujiata.
How's everything tasting tonight?
Hey, not bad.
Don't talk with your mouth full.
But my mouth is full.
Yeah, that's my point.
But she just asked a question. That would be rude to just leave her hanging.
It's rude to speak with your mouth full.
So I had to pick my poison. Sorry, lady.
It's Miss Gloria.
Right. Now I remember. She's the lady that had the old name.
Right. That's what my grandkids tell me all the time.
I never thought you were actually old. I thought your name was just old.
Do you want a refill?
Yeah.
More root beer?
Yeah. When the waiter asks if we've left room for dessert, is that something we're supposed to do consciously, or is any remaining room incidental?
Well, That would depend on the mens rea, the marginal utility, and the intestinal stubbornness.
What?
The person's state of mind and how much food they can eat. Hey, eat like a human being.
This is how human beings used to eat.
Eat like a 21st century human being.
Back to the dessert. Is the dessert that restaurants offer necessarily complimentary to their entrees?
What? You picked up your pizza and all of a sudden you're a grown-up?
Is that how it works?
No.
The dessert options are very dairy heavy. Ice cream, cheesecake. But if you have a milkshake with pizza, that's weird. Why is that?
Because milkshakes and pizza don't go.
But ice cream right after pizza's fine? I mean, I already have dairy. Why do I need more?
You can have an Italian ice.
Italian ice I can understand. But it still doesn't explain the ice cream and the cake.
Well, maybe those things just don't need explanation.
What if a customer asks?
Are you going to be that customer?
Maybe.
Well, if you do, that comes with a risk.
What? They're gonna spit in my food? It's a little late for that. And if they were gonna do that, they would have done it already.
You do realize that there are cameras everywhere, right?
Yeah, so?
And you've heard of this thing called the internet. So what's going to happen is you're going to ask these guys the same questions you're asking me, and they're going to get so irritated. They're going to put a video of you up on the internet talking all kinds of stuff about what a pain in the butt you are, and everybody's going to see it.
What about you?
What about me? They don't care about me.
Why not?
Because I'm not the weirdo asking questions about dessert.
Do you think I'm a pain in the butt?
No.
Do you think I'm a weirdo?
Anybody who complains about dessert is a weirdo.
Am I still a weirdo if I'm not complaining about dessert?
No.
Okay, good.
But there are 8 billion people in the world. Statistically speaking, my opinion means nothing.
How come you're not married, Uncle Leo?
Because I've been dating a lot of Geminis lately.
What does that mean?
Well, Geminis are crazy, they're unpredictable, they're mean. I can sit here and rattle off about 120, maybe even like 150 just really bad personality traits.
I'm a Gemini.
But you're nice.
Thank you.
Save any room for dessert?
No, thank you.
I want a dessert.
Then I'll get you a milkshake.
So I forgot that was in 5K. That's why it looks all choppy, because the best that StreamYards can do when you don't pay for it is 720p. So
You mean 4K?
no, it's in 5K.
5K?
Yeah.
Impressive.
Gina says my mom
No,
was
because
Gemini.
you said it was in 4K.
I did, yeah, but I remember that's actually in 5K. But yeah, so that's one of the things that I've been working on over here. Hope you guys enjoyed. What is going on here? Silly machina. All right, I think that will do it. Yeah, there we go. Cool.
It was very cute.
She was fun to work with. I do a lot of ad-libbing because I'm terrible at memorizing scripts. No. She was not expecting me to throw that sugar packet at her.
That's funny.
It was because the first one, that was the first take, hit her right in the fucking head, and she did not expect it. Smacked her in the head, and she looked up and then she just started cracking up laughing. She was fun to work with. But as the night went on, she got a little tired. Chris Durham says 5K. Your channel has 10K. Should be able to handle it. I agree. Anyway, so I figured I wanted to share that with you guys. I've got some other projects. One that I'm working on back here. You guys have seen this one before. I think I showed this one back here that I'm working on. Still working on some little things here and there on the director's cut. But yeah, thank you all so much for stopping by and listening to a couple of old dudes ramble on about the very important subject. I hope that people can learn from, figure out how to do better, whatever. Just go out there and be good to people. Try and infect the world with positivity.
Like Jesus said, don't be a dick.
That's 1 Corinthians, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And it took friggin' half of a Bible to actually get to that point. But
yep.
The reality comes down to it, man. When it the reality is we are all in the same boat, and the boat is going in the same direction, and we can't just ignore each other just because it's easy.
Right.
And I refuse to do that. I refuse to ignore I recognize. I want to recognize as much as I want to be recognized, and you got to be a part of it. It's what it is, and try to keep it as real as possible. You are younger than me, both of you,
by like a day. It doesn't count. All right, it's time for us to go. Thank you all so much. JL's got some awesome stuff coming up on this channel. He'll tell you all about it tomorrow when you join his live stream at 7:00.
I don't know if I'm going live tomorrow. I think I'm going to try. I'm going to try and put it up. This
JL's going live tomorrow at 7:00. Okay, that's all. He is. He doesn't have a choice.
Make that promise.
Anyway, I look forward to seeing your next video. I watched your latest was that Josh Feuerstein.
Yeah, Josh Feuerstein.
No, Feuerstein.
Feuerstein. He pronounces it Feuerstein.
Yeah, I said Feuerstein. I said what I said. Anyway,
it didn't take him long to. Why do evangelicals always Godwin's law? What is it with that?
I don't know. It's kind of funny though.
Why?
Yeah, I promise I will get back to regular content creation very soon. I appreciate everyone's patience, all my channel members, my patrons, my subscribers and commenters, and everybody who sent super chats and all that stuff. You guys are awesome. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, I've got some big changes hopefully coming soon on the horizon for me to give me time to be able to, dedicate more of my energy here to where I want to be with you guys. So that's going to be fun. We'll see you guys.
No, Jinju, if I go live, it'll be in the evening, and it'll definitely, I'm definitely going to, like I said, I can't even promise I'm going to get this video out and done. I got it recorded, get it, finish recording it, get it edited, and get it scheduled. I may be able to get it done. I have a bunch of stuff that I'm trying to get ahead of because the very end of the month I'm traveling. I'm out of town, so I have to get for literally the end of the month. I'm going to Texas Frightmare weekend, and I have to make sure that everything is caught up and ready to go ahead of time, so I don't have to worry about it. So I'm juggling a whole my to-do list is enormous right now. And I'm about halfway done with it, but hopefully I'll be able to get that out because I don't want to go too long without putting something out. But this Sunday, like I said, I do have the Discord stream that's at 10:00 in the morning Central Time over on the Politics Discord. I've already set that up, so that's ready to go. And then that's ready to go live when I'll be going live at like 9:30 to chat with y'all before we do the Discord thing. And then I'll hopefully have the video out. So. Good times. And then, of course, my normal everyday lives, my normal usual live streams as well. Because there's a bunch of stuff going on.
Lots of stuff. Sir, for $5 says, Bork. I've borked a lot of women in my day. Borked? Thank you so much for that $5 super chat. I appreciate it. Anyway, it's time to go. Everybody say goodbye, JL.
Bye, JL.
Bye, JL. Bye. See ya.
Bye.